In this demo, we'll use vFunction integrated with Kiro to modernize our legacy monolithic application by refactoring and re-architecting to cloud native. We'll look at three core areas in vFunction. Starting after the dynamic and static analysis, we'll look at vFunction's suggested architecture and align it with our specific business needs, generate the modernization plan to modularize the application, correct technical debt, and make the application AWS container and serverless compatible. vFunction will provide the architectural context to Kiro to fix the architecture and make the application cloud native. Finally, we will extract the services from the monolith. So here we are in vFunction, and we're going to start looking at the application after we've run the dynamic and static analysis or learning phase in vFunction. What we can see in front of us is a simple order management application and vFunction's suggested data-driven domain design. This is represented of a number of domains or clusters of functionality, as we can see here represented by the circles or spheres. And we've got domains like inventory, payment, order, shipping. So domains I'd expect to see and domains I would probably define for an order management system anyway. The lines between the domains just represent existing method calls or calls between the clusters of functionality and dependencies between them. If we look at one of the domains, this is fulfillment in the middle here, and it has two boundaries or entry points. We can examine what they are. So this is what fulfillment's doing, and I can see this graphically in a component-based diagram, including layering in the data sets being used, so I can fully understand what fulfillment's doing. We've then underlaid the software class requirements needed to deliver the fulfillment capability. The ones we see in runtime, the dynamic classes, and any static dependencies to support them, plus any resources or constraints this runs with or against. So does it write to a database table? Does it execute a store procedure? Does it communicate with another application? The color coding on my screen represents the exclusivity of the software classes. Think of the modularity, the logical separation. So green being logically separated, the software components are unique, red being low exclusivity, not logically separated in the existing code base. As this is an interactive platform, I can define a target architecture interactively. And just to give you an example, I'm going to combine two domains together. So let's combine payment and diners payment into a single payments domain or potential service. And vFunction will recalculate the dependencies for that target architecture. So here we are, we have our target architecture, and I'm going to go ahead and set that as my baseline. My first stage now is to generate the modernization plan. How do we get to that new current state? And here we go. So generate the modernization plan. It's actually a mermaid output, but I can visualize what that looks like here. So in the modernization plan, we've got an understanding of the technology stack, the domains here that we've just been looking at, the modernization tasks or to-dos, prioritized based on their priority, and then the detailed plan of all of the things we need to do and execute in the order of that priority. So as we've seen, the modernization plan is a number of tasks or to-dos, and we can see them in vFunction. So these are all my to-dos, and we'll just look at a few. There's going to be to-dos here for modularity issues, issues with resource dependencies like overlapping database tables, and traditional technical debt like dead code or God classes that we need to break up, aging frameworks and libraries we need to remediate and upgrade, and even compatibility issues with the cloud services we're interested in. I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to look at a remove service dependency issue. And this is where fulfillment and shipping have a dependency. On my screen here, that's this line here between fulfillment and shipping. So we can remove that. And vFunction is going to generate the prompt for our code assistant to remediate this for us. So let's just generate that prompt and have a look what that looks like. So this is the prompt generated by vFunction. Very comprehensive, as you can see, 6 pages. The idea is obviously we need to explain to a code assistant that we're providing a logical construct. We're providing the task it needs to do to remove the dependency between those domains, the goal and caveats, and the strategy around going about doing this. So this is providing a lot of logical architecture understanding to the code assistant that it can't see. So there's dependencies we were looking at in the design there, and suggested solutions and quality metrics for us. So we're now in Kiro, and Kiro is fully integrated with vFunction via a set of MCP tools and a Kiro power that allows Kiro to understand the logical architecture for vFunction, get the to-dos, get the modernization prompts, and fix the issues for us. So in my developer experience, I'm going to go ahead and get the to-dos from vFunction. It's activated the Kiro power, and it's going to go ahead and pull the to-dos for me. So here are my to-dos. They're exactly what we were looking at within the vFunction platform. So all of the tasks that we need to execute to modernize our application. And the one we're specifically interested in is the cross-domain service call between fulfillment and shipping. So that's the one we were just looking at in my Word document there. So I can go ahead and ask Kiro to pull that to-do prompt and compare that with the source code. So validate the solution that vFunction is offering. So Kiro's going ahead and pulling that prompt for me, the one we were just looking at in the Word document. So Kiro's pulled the prompt and validated the solution for me, and is prompting whether we want to go ahead and make the changes. So yes, please make the changes. And it's going to go ahead and make the changes in the source code, repackage and redeploy the application for me. So we're now back into vFunction and we've reanalyzed the application, and this is the resulting architecture. We can see that the domains are a lot more exclusive. They've all gone green. They're uniquely independent. We've removed the unnecessary dependencies and corrected the technical debt. But the most important thing is we've validated that the to-dos are successfully remediated because they no longer exist in this software architecture, and vFunction will mark them as done. Once we have logically independent domains, we can go ahead and extract out a service. So I'm going to extract out shipping and build a new software project for shipping. And to do that, I need to define a technical definition. So the technical stack I want to extract in, and whether I want REST API endpoints, and to use vFunction's defined shared library. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're back in Kiro, and we're going to go ahead and ask it to extract the shipping price controller. So as before, Kiro is going to use the vFunction power to extract out by downloading a technical definition file and running the code copy utility to generate the new software project, populate the relevant source code files and package it up for us. This is the result, a new software project with just the shipping capabilities, all packaged up, REST API enabled and ready for deployment.